Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Legal Huddle. We are doing our official third episode. That's right. And Cindy and I are here again with our special guest, Susan Harris,
Hi guys.
LP. So Susan will be doing some volunteer work next month. Tell us a little bit about the Divorce Resources Workshop.
Yeah, so as an LLP personally, it's really important to me to give back to the community and offer services. And I think that that is a through line in the LLP community. So in Colorado Springs, we have two divorce workshops. I happen to be somehow scheduled for both of them in April.
Yay.
So the first one is on the very first Saturday, which is April 4th. It is virtual. That is the Not Quite Done with Divorce workshop. So it'll feature me, a certified divorce financial analyst, and then a wellness expert. And then the next one I'm doing is that next Saturday, April 4th, and that is the Divorce Resources of Colorado Springs. That one is also, I think now they are also virtual and there's a certified divorce real estate expert, a certified divorce, I forget her exact credentials, but lending expert, because often marital residence is the biggest asset we're dealing with in cases and how to problem solve that. And then me, and then I think they have a fourth person usually.
Now, did
So
you say April 4th or April 11th?
both.
Yeah, so you're doing April 4th and then April 11th.
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. Awesome. That's
Yeah. And they both have Facebook pages, both have websites. You can sign up and participate in those. Those are free. So free resources in the community. Even if you have representation, I think it's really helpful for parties to hear that information, especially when they get into like the wellness and some of the nitty-gritty stuff that we as professionals, that's not our lane per se,
Wow.
despite probably therapizing many clients. But
Yes.
there's a lot of information there that is very helpful
Yeah,
for
and we can
folks.
post those in the links below so you can have them so they're already available for you.
Very cool.
So yeah, so jumping off of that, we also are volunteering, at least Cindy and I, for the Family Law Day this year, which will be June 12th. It starts at 9 in the morning, will be all the way till 2. You can talk to a lawyer there, so it's an Ask a Lawyer event as well as some classes and some other resources available with vendors. So it's a really good event. It's at the courthouse. So hopefully, if you need some more resources there, I'll post the save the date in there in our comments below as well.
Awesome.
So yeah, so why don't we jump right in with Susan, you are not with a firm, you're on your own. So how is that going? What are your thoughts on that? What
Great. I love it. So I have always wanted to own my own business. And then, I thought about it as a paralegal, but as a paralegal, you really have to watch those bright lines and not jump into unauthorized practice of law. So when the LLP option came up, that just seemed to open up a door a little more easily to that. And I was able to take my family law paralegal career kind of to that next level. And so I love it. I really love being the one in charge, which sounds silly, but in charge of me. Like I get to
Mhm.
make my own schedule. I get to decide how much I'm charging clients. I get to make all of those decisions with them and be the face of the business, be the face of their support in the courtroom. I have two part-time paralegals now.
Oh,
I've been open, like technically the business has now existed for over a year. So
that's
yeah, it's
amazing.
crazy. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
So yeah, it's going great. I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm really connecting more with the community. Like being the business owner,
Mhm.
you really have to get out and connect with
Mhm.
people. And I just feel like I'm doing that even more now in
Mhm.
that role.
So, talk to us about how your business has changed from the beginning of being an LLP to now the new rule changes.
So when I first opened my doors, my plan actually was to be part LLP and part like freelance paralegal. And admit it, I was really focusing more on the freelance paralegal part, but the LLP part was the one that was louder and had more needs. So I've totally ditched the freelance paralegal part because there's so many parties that need help with family law. The huge change that you guys have touched on in previous episodes is what we can do in the courtroom now.
Right.
And so I was already in the courtroom before that change happened. But man, the prep, doing it that way, oddly, was more stressful, took a lot more time. It was harder on the clients. I mean, one big benefit of having representation, especially in cases with domestic violence and domestic abuse and coercive control, is there's you're trying to limit as much interaction directly between the parties, but then when their legal representation isn't able to ask the questions, they're having to deal with that person in the courtroom, asking really intimate, really difficult questions. And so that was challenging to have to sit there with your court face and just like let it happen to a certain extent. So I'm relieved to no longer be doing that, but the prep time now is less because before I was having to still prepare all of the questions. So I couldn't be asking the questions, but I had to prepare those for the client. And so it was putting all of that together and putting together more of a script than what I think attorneys typically use, and then what more than what I use now. And so I would have to prep it, prep the client, go back, update my prep to give to the client, and then update, like prepare myself again. So there were so many like repetitive steps, thus kind of defeating one of the purposes of our creation was to make it cheaper for parties, but then I'm taking more time and it's more expensive. So,
Yeah, just to kind of remind everybody in this episode that December 1st of last year, our rules changed to include that we can appear in court a little bit more, such as cross-examination, examination of witnesses, and
right.
that really helps that we're not coaching the clients, but we actually can do it.
Yeah.
And so that's what Susan's referencing.
Right. So the first contested hearing I had, this was, before the rule change where we could ask the questions. We were just supposed to be emotional support and preparing the client for the hearing. My client's asking the questions. Well, so the other party testifies, she and I make notes on some cross-examination questions to pose. And so I give her my notes, and long hearing, super high conflict. So like the tension in the room is just thick as thick can be.
Oof.
And
I feel it now.
yeah, right. And you're like, I've been there. I know that feeling. And so my handwriting is just terrible because I'm trying to, blast out these handwritten questions. And a good cross-examination, you probably have an idea of what you're going to ask, but it's really about listening to what the witness is saying and then crafting questions based upon their testimony. So I, write my questions down, I hand them to her, and she's at the podium and she's looking at me like, I cannot read your handwriting. And like, she's trying. And so then I just start reading my questions to her. The other attorney objects, and the judge is like, yeah, I don't think that you can be reading the questions to her because then you're in essence asking the questions. So I can write them down, but she has to ask them. And then at some point I'm like, well, can I tell her what my handwriting says? Like it just became very form over function. And that judge is so gracious and I think a supporter of the LLP option. I mean, so he said, no, I couldn't do that. But I mean, honestly, I think he was following the rule at the time. And I think it didn't matter in the end. We were at the end of the hearing, and I don't think those questions were like the linchpin that would change his decision or anything. But it was just a moment where I was like, wow, this seems kind of silly in action of I can write the questions down in secret, but no one can hear them come from my voice. Just yeah.
And I think that's the biggest reason why they did the rule change.
I bet.
And like we have talked before, that the rule change, I think, happened a lot quicker than anyone ever thought that it was going to be. Because I know when we were all part of the first cohort. And we had no idea that this was even going to be a possibility for us. And
I thought May. I thought if the rule change went through, I was thinking, oh, April or May.
Yeah, but it happened in lickety split.
It did, which I'm so thankful for. I appreciate that.
And I think clients are too. And, to kind of circle back to what you said before, the high stress, high emotions of, them, the clients themselves having to ask the questions. I'm sure, and maybe I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but I'm sure you've seen a difference in your clients when they go to hearing. They're not as, I mean, it's still stressful no matter any way you look at it.
Right.
But I'm sure it's a lot less stressful that they don't have to be the ones to ask their soon-to-be ex-spouse.
Yes. I mean, when I remember telling clients, hey, this rule change just came through. So that hearing we have coming up, guess what? I get to ask the questions.
Mhm.
And I mean, I could hear them just, ooh,
Oh, sure.
because it's hard enough. I mean, we've all had experiences, whether it's us prepping clients or seeing the attorney prep the client of, don't say this on the stand. Do not say this. Say it, say it in this way. And then they say it,
Yeah.
And so there's just so much to expect of them to, I mean, public speaking is what, like one of the highest fears,
Yeah.
right, for people. And so add that to you're talking about intimate details of your life, maybe some embarrassing things that were behind closed doors, but now a stranger gets to hear it and make decisions about you and your life and your children and your money. And so balancing that with having to remember, okay, remember the preparations of, well, here's how you should present your answer because the way you said it the first time is coming off differently than what I know you were actually intending it to mean. And then remembering how to ask questions. And then, oh, if an objection comes up, okay, well, what's hearsay? Oh, Susan told me what hearsay is. Where's my little cheat sheet? Like that is just so much for a party to deal with. And again, we're supposed to be a part of the solution of giving greater access to justice, making it easier in the courtroom for everybody. That's practitioners and the court and the parties. And yeah, huge difference for them. They definitely have felt relieved to know that.
And I've seen,
Motions.
and I've seen some great stuff coming out of people that are unrepresented, motions wise, filing wise, but there are always some technicalities sometimes that I feel aren't met. And so I think that's what you're referring to as well, which makes sense. That's what we professionals are here for.
Yeah. Well, and some people do better with those types of things than others, so it's the ones that maybe isn't where their zone of comfort or their zone of genius is. And then again, you pile on the emotional side of it and the stress, and that's just
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
So have you seen a difference in the judicial officers now with the rule change? Like as far as like how the hearing, I mean, obviously the hearings are going more smooth.
Yes.
But have you seen any difference? Do they look less stressed? I guess is the
think
question.
so. I think we all feel a little less stressed because it is still so new. I mean, for definitely that hearing that I just described, that first contested hearing, I was the first LOP that had appeared in front of this judge.
Yeah.
So, and the attorney, I was the first one they had dealt with in the courtroom. So we were all like in the Wild West a little bit together and trying to navigate that. And that just, there's already so much to navigate in the courtroom for all of us. I'm sure that they are a little less stressed by having to figure out kind of like recreating the wheel a little bit of this is how trial practice has been, this is how we run our cases, and then having to figure out navigating our rules because they have to be looking at that too. Like we're very mindful, but the judges have to be as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that I mean, it just seems like it's saving a lot of time, a lot less logistics talked about and stopping to, because that was part of that hearing too, of like we had big issues to deal with. We had a kid, like it was all kid issues, and any time spent on figuring out what I can and cannot do in the courtroom is less time spent on what this kid needs.
Right.
So,
and the thing is we're so limited in the with hearing time as it is.
Exactly.
So then you're throwing all that extra stuff in there, and it's just you can't really get to all of the important.
Yep.
And I think that was part of the reason why the rules were changed, because not only that, and it was weaponized by some attorneys as well, because, advocating for a client is important, right? But some attorneys might take it a little bit further than that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other experiences have you had? Maybe not necessarily in the courtroom, but, any other, being on your own as opposed to being in a firm.
Yeah. A lot of conversations with myself.
You're having a team meeting.
My team meeting is me and me, playing devil's advocate to myself. So that's been an interesting experience, and having to learn to trust my instincts. And what I have found is, okay, I've got my instincts, I have my gut thought, okay, now what is it that supports that?
Mhm.
So here's what I really think, here's where I think we should go, here's what, I'm not believing, etc. Okay, but what do I do to make then the logic and the evidence fit with that? Um, the clients, so in reading like the rules and hearing the buzz about us, my perception is there was a lot of concern on making sure that the public knows we're not attorneys and making sure that they're making educated decisions about us representing them in that capacity, etc. What I have found, like, so we're having to disclose this in our initial consultations, and like it's always a topic of conversation and always on our minds. Clients don't care. They are so relieved to have help
Yeah.
and to have someone that knows more than them and to have that guidance. It's like, yeah. Okay, what are we going to do about child support? Like
How
they
fast?
just like,
Oh,
and I mean, I've had a wonderful experience with clients overall of they are so appreciative of having the resource because it definitely is for a lot of my folks. They wouldn't be able to afford an attorney under traditional circumstances, and
Which is
thinking,
exactly why
yes,
this program
right.
is.
I know, and I love
Yeah.
when we see it flourish like
Yes.
this.
Yeah. And I get so many referrals from other LLPs too that are within firms that can't maybe be as flexible in whatever their pricing structure is. Because at the end of the day, it is business too. But because it's me and a small team, I have a lot more flexibility than what like larger firms would have. And so I have a lot of folks coming to me of, I just need help on this one thing. And that might not be what can fit within like a larger firm. But yeah, the party seems so appreciative of having this option. I mean, I tell folks, we're not meant to replace attorneys. That is not the intent whatsoever. We are better than nothing.
I mean,
We are something. So, and half the battle is navigating the process, which the paralegals generally were the ones that are kind of the experts on the process because we've been talking to clients about that for years.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it feels really good to be connecting with these folks and how appreciative they are of the attention that they get and the help that they're getting that they just otherwise would not. Yeah, because depending on the jurisdiction, I'm sure you guys have like thrown out this stat or something similar to it of depending on the jurisdiction in Colorado, it's anywhere between like 70 to 90% of family law parties are self-represented. So quick math, 10 to 30% are represented by attorneys. So that is so many people that are just going in. Maybe this is the first time they've ever even touched the court system, except maybe a speeding ticket. And a lot of times you throw a check in the mail and that's that, but I'll probably pay it online. I'm showing my age.
Yeah, I go
putting
to
a check in the
court.
mail.
Yeah.
Do you still have checks?
I do. Oddly, I
Well,
do.
you have a business house. So you kind of have to.
That's the only reason I have checks.
Oh my
Yes. That is the only reason now. Yeah.
Yeah, and going to court is scary alone, so having
sure.
someone on your
Yes,
side is always helpful.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So are you seeing a lot more like unbundled clients as opposed to like full-fledged representation? Or are you seeing a mix of?
It's mostly traditional representation. I have a lot of folks so one of my philosophies, I do free initial consultations. In the legal field. There is mixed philosophies on whether you should do that or not. My decision, so when I opened my business, I knew I was going to do them for free because I was nobody. And so looking at things more recently where I have a full caseload and I have built the reputation enough to where I could be charging for them. I made the decision I'm still going to do free initial consultations because one of my interests in becoming an LLP and one of the pillar values of my business is giving back to the community. So there are a lot of people, and when I do these consultations, there's some folks that they meet with, I mean, we say attorneys, but maybe, I don't know, maybe LLPs too. I don't know. I don't want to judge, but traditionally attorneys where it's not a lot of nuts and bolts, if you will. It's kind of grand scheme of things. And I think that's kind of a distinction between LLPs and attorneys, because that is what we've been doing. We have been in the thick of it, of the nuts and bolts and the minutia, and working with the clients on that. I think that's an interesting comparison. But when I have those consultations, I'm really getting at like what's the number one issue that they're presenting. Okay, here are the nuts and bolts of what to do. And so I have a lot of folks that are interested in the unbundled part, but honestly, I think maybe this is bad business. I don't think so. I give them so much in that appointment.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, yeah, like I'll probably call you back up.
Yeah.
And then I might not hear from them. So most people, it has been either they hire or not. So,
Yeah, I mean, we want to be helpful
Yeah.
to them, like,
Yeah.
getting some of these consultations, giving them some more information maybe than an attorney, and then they have what they need.
Yeah.
And some people don't need full representation.
Right.
They just need a little bit of guidance and direct them in the right direction, basically, and then they're on their way.
I mean, it's just like anything else. Of life moves so quickly, and the day-to-day moves so quickly,
it does.
especially when you have children. There's so much happening. There's so much that you're managing, that I suspect those folks get to the deadline. They're like, oh shoot, I meant to get in touch with that person and ask for their help. Well, all right, I'm gonna get it done, kind of thing. So yeah, majority of people, it's traditional representation. I do offer that option out though every time, of like, here's what you need to do to hire me in the traditional sense. If you want to do an a la carte option, here's where you can find me. So I have had people, reach out like 2 weeks before their hearing. And it's like, well, it's too tight because now my calendar's full and I can't.
Yeah, that's always tricky. So don't reach out 2 weeks before your hearing, please.
Yes.
That's a
Don't
recommendation.
expect a
That's always a hard one.
Yeah, I mean, even back before LLPs were a thing, attorneys had the same problem. People would reach out, a week before the hearing, and as a litigant, you don't realize how much work goes into preparing for a hearing until you're doing it. But even when you're doing it as a pro se litigant, you still don't know what you're doing, so you really don't understand the full picture. And a lot of attorneys and LLPs won't take cases when they're that close to a hearing because,
it's a liability.
I was just going to say,
a liability. You can't get into a case that late.
Unfortunately,
even if we wanted to.
Well, and all of the deadlines are passed at that point.
Right.
So anything that you really need to get, discovery, all of the experts, all of that stuff is passed at that point. So
I was a crazy person and took one 2 days before a hearing. Had you on the other side, you and Emma.
That was fun.
Yeah.
For you.
For you. It was a learning experience for sure. And I'm glad I did it. I mean,
but we were glad you were there.
Right.
And that's the thing. And you guys can talk about that because you guys were on a case together, and how, I'm sure, Jessica, when you guys were dealing with the case with the party before Susan got on board, it's hard dealing with a pro se party on the other side. Sometimes it's because of maybe their personality or whatever, but the other thing is they don't know what they're doing. So sometimes, when we have cases and we have pro se parties on the other side, and counsel of some sort gets involved, we all get excited because
so
excited.
Like,
oh, thank God that,
and jump up and down.
Exactly. Right. Like, okay, so somebody that knows the process and knows, and all
and knows I'm asking for bank statements because I need them, not because
you're just
I'm just
doing it because you're doing it. Yeah, exactly.
So that yay. That's the whole point, right? So
again, we're better than nothing.
Yes. Well, that's I kind of falls into our episode here, like, you going actually in the court, us actually going into court in person, doing the WebEx appearances and such. Let's just go to this case because you kind of came in late on that, so judge was happy as well, I feel, that you were there.
Sure. Yes. I mean, ultimately, it got continued that day. So yeah,
but it happens. It happens.
But I will say, in those less than 40,
good job.
We got some things pushed along.
Yes, absolutely.
There were still some things that were moved forward. There were documents exchanged that maybe hadn't been exchanged before, and
sometimes you just need that little bit of a push, to get things to start moving.
Right. Yeah, I was just very excited to see you up there. I was like, yay, let's go. As I was sitting comfortably in the back, and that's kind of
So Jessica just talked about or brought up the whole WebEx
Mhm.
in-person kind of thing. So you've maybe not done a full uncontested hearing via WebEx, but you have
Right.
done in-person and
Yeah.
WebEx other appearances. So, talk about your experiences with that.
I try to go in person. So definitely before the rule change to where we could ask questions, it was just, there was so much to manage that also having to manage tech was not what I wanted to be doing or my client doing that. So I was telling the client, like, we have to be in person. Like, this is what has to happen.
Yeah.
That is still my preference with the client. It just seems, again, it's one less thing to manage.
Yeah.
I think in certain cases, I don't know, there is something of being able to be in the room with the judge and the party connecting with them, just feeling the energy in the room. And I think it helps. I think you certainly can still assess credibility over WebEx, but I don't know, just a little extra to be there. And then I'm also, because LOPs are new in our trial practice and the way it is now, I mean, we're still new, period.
But we are.
Especially now with asking the questions, I'm trying to get my face in front of the court to build credibility with them. And so that's still what I lean toward. But I have clients that are out of state, and it just is not feasible for them to take off work for several days if they don't have family or friends to stay with here, pay for lodging, pay for the travel, all of that. So again, preference to be in person, but I've had plenty of hearings where the client is on WebEx or the other side's on WebEx. And you still do the same things and you still prep. It's just like your prep. I think with that, it's making sure, thinking through all of the tech. And then if you don't have a tech savvy client, making sure your practice running and making sure that, part of the requirements I have of, okay, if you're not going to be here in person, then you have to have a reliable device that's charged and in a place with a reliable, good internet. So,
And you're not laying in bed.
I was just about to say,
you're not laying in bed.
Or folding laundry.
Yeah, that's really hard. And I don't know that the quorum is just so important to the court. And I almost say you have to have a lot of discussions with clients about that. But it's when they're not represented that it becomes more of a problem, I feel.
But I think it's easy for them when they are virtual for them to forget how formal this is.
Right.
It's easy to just kind of be like, I'm not in a courtroom, and they just
being
forget.
on camera so often now through FaceTime and Skype family and stuff. But
Yeah, just note out there, be careful with decorum when you're on with the court, not in person.
Yes. And when you're virtual, you still want to dress appropriately.
Yeah.
And still keep in mind that your face is probably even more present in front of the judge because rather than being across the room, it's right here on their monitor.
Yeah.
So keep your court face on.
Well, and most hearings are in person in El Paso County anyways. There's just a few here and there that are pre-trial conferences, usually on WebEx, initial status conferences, but otherwise. I feel like. So just kind of jump a little. Cindy, did you have any experience yet in courtroom?
I have not for hearings yet. Nope, I've only had to do some pre-trials and those types of things, status conferences.
Yeah, the same for me. I've done mediations, obviously, but initial status conference, pre-trial conference, not hearings yet. So you're definitely ahead of our of the experience there, which is
people.
Great. We look to you. We look to you.
Man, it's just practice, practice, practice. I think.
That's it.
I mean, consummate student, and you two deserve your flowers. You've been so supportive of the LLP community and putting together so much education and keeping our LLP community connected to the bench, to other bar associations, all of that, of keeping us in the limelight and getting us as practitioners resources. So like the trial school we did in February, like holy cow, it was fantastic. So that's the easy part for me because you guys set that up. So again,
Yeah,
you
we-
deserve your flowers for that for sure.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
We really try because it's important to be educated, and I think that's one of the concerns that some of the bench
Yeah.
and the bar associations and the attorneys have. But we obviously want to make sure that we're educated. We are smart enough to know that we need that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
nobody is more nervous about it than us.
And that's the thing.
Nobody wants us to learn more than we
Right,
want to
nobody
learn.
is.
And I
Just-
think that was the biggest concern with those that were against the rule change
Sure.
was the fact that we didn't have that rules of evidence
Yeah.
experience, education because we didn't go to law school. And so the fact that, we obviously knew when we heard the proposed changes, like, oh crap, we gotta,
Yeah.
we need more,
Right.
we need more. And so I think as the LLP community as a whole, we were all very hungry for that knowledge,
Yes.
and we're open for it. And I could probably say with probably 99% confidence that if you were to check all of our CLE credits compared to attorneys, we are blowing them away.
I was just saying that to someone the other
Pizza
day.
party,
I'm like,
right?
Like, I know when renewal comes around, we are
Yeah.
not going to be scrambling.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I
Yeah, I mean, I
but-
think most of us met our CLE requirement like within the first year.
Stick
Like,
month,
yeah,
probably.
exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. And then
yeah.
we're just gonna have tons. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
the more education, the better. So,
Yeah, we just out there absorbing all. I'm signing up for all the things I feel like I need, I want to listen to, just to kind of see.
Yep.
I think it's important, and as much as the access to justice is important, it's important to train us to make sure we are
Yes.
there to fulfill those needs.
Yeah.
And I think we have a wonderful group down here. I know Denver is doing an amazing job up there with their LLPs. So we're really excited to be here for it, and
Yeah.
doing all the things.
Then just get out there and do it.
exactly.
So
Get out there and do it.
I know. So do you have any other thoughts on, being an LP for LPs that maybe want their own business for?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit beforehand of
Mhm.
if you, and I think it's the same in any career,
Mhm.
any area of if you want to be out on your own, the thing that you definitely need to want to be is a business owner.
Mhm.
And so if you don't have that desire to own and run a business, going out on your own may not be the thing for you,
Mhm.
And it's really finding what works for you, and if you don't want to be out on your own, then finding which firm, which other LLP, which other attorney, whoever that meshes well with you and your life and finding the right fit for that. And I think more and more attorneys and more firms are seeing the benefit and
Yeah.
opening that up. I was excited to see, and I still am, of like where this is going to go.
Mhm.
And I feel like recently I'm really like, I don't know, seeing what we were anticipating. There's more LLPs going on their own
Yeah.
and more LLPs within firms that they're not apparent. There were some LLPs that had the credential, had the license, but we're still doing paralegal work because if you're an LLP, you were likely an outstanding paralegal and probably your attorney didn't want to get rid of you. Like didn't want to lose you, right? And so
Which we have discussed in the past.
and
Yeah.
that is, and I
Dual
get
hats,
that.
dual hats.
Yeah. And so I think I'm seeing more and more getting away from that and more getting away from that hybrid role of LLP and paralegal.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's just really cool where we're at.
It's exciting.
It is.
It's very exciting.
It is. Like I'm seeing what they wanted us to be doing.
Mhm.
It's really cool. So
Well, and I think it's fair to say that when we took this leap of faith,
mhm.
we weren't quite sure what we were getting ourselves into.
No.
I don't think any of us
Yeah.
realized
Yeah.
what we were getting ourselves into. And like you said, it's exciting to see just in such a short time how much it's evolved.
Yes.
And if it's evolved this much in this short amount of time,
What's gonna happen?
exactly. It's gonna be chills just thinking about it.
Well, and I was just thinking about Justice Boatwright, what he said to us at our first swearing in. He was like, we called it the artillery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I said, right?
Or something.
Something.
Not artillery.
Enforcement.
I don't remember what word he used, but it was
I think it was
not
artillery.
It was
I don't know. Well, you know,
Anyway.
military, the forces, us.
The forces.
Reinforcements, maybe something like that.
Something,
Yeah,
I don't
something
know.
like that.
That day was such a whirlwind.
Oh my gosh,
It
it was a
was.
lot going on. But my point is, you know, we were here for it. They
Yeah.
called us in. They said, we know these paralegals can do this.
Mhm.
And so here we are doing the things and we want to do them well.
Yep.
We are doing them within our network down here with all our colleagues that are very smart, wonderful people out there doing the things. We're volunteering our time. We're trying to do pro bono things. We're here for LLPs, wanting to be LLPs. We're here for the community that needs help, that needs an LLP, that's looking for just resources and access to justice in general. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah. And we need good family law paralegals too.
Yes.
I was
yes.
thinking about that.
Yeah.
I was listening to, I think your last episode with Megan of she pointed out, one of the challenges is these amazing paralegals have become LLPs, and it's hard for attorneys to let go of that, understandably so. And it's kind of hard to let go of your paralegal role too.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of
We've
our
been doing it
identity
for
for
so
100
long,
years.
Mm-hmm.
Because the COVID years are like times four.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, agree.
But so I was just thinking through that of like I'm very connected with Pikes Peak State College and their paralegal program. And we need both. We need family law paralegals, we need family law LLPs, still need family law attorneys. I mean, so
Yeah.
there's certainly a
So much
place.
need, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we try to mentor also the paralegals.
Yes.
We try to just all be there. And if anyone ever says, "Hey, I'm looking for a job as a paralegal," or something, get them to the right places. Get them to the Pikes Peak Paralegals organization. And so it starts really on the bottom when you go into college, and you just work your way up and get out in the network. And then if you do desire to be an LP, if you do desire to be an attorney, things like that. So.
Well, we're even getting to the point where we're reaching out to high schools.
Yeah.
Because that's basically where it actually starts is, educating the high school students that there are other pathways in the legal field other than being an attorney.
Right.
And so that's kind of what a lot of us are doing. There's some LLP education outreach committee that is reaching out to all of the different school districts and trying to get in with them and doing, career fairs and all of that stuff. So, if anybody's interested in becoming even a paralegal, legal assistant, whatever, it's not just all about LLPs. It's about the legal field in general.
In general, right.
And there's so many different directions you can go with it. And I think what was so, I don't know, I guess demographically interesting, what I found very interesting at our swearing in, they gave us, kind of so many tickets to bring loved ones and things. And I was in the back of the room. This might make me cry, so nobody laugh. But I was like looking around the room. The majority of us are women. Majority of us are women in mid-30s and above. And so something I noticed was how many children were in the room. And I just wonder if that's the same when they swear in attorneys. Are there as many children in the room as what we had?
I bet there's not.
I wouldn't think
because
so.
if you think about it, people, most attorneys go from high school to their 4-year to their 3-year law school. So they're what, mid-20s?
Right.
A lot of them aren't married at that point, or they didn't have a life to
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
starting.
and I know that there's a lot of people that that have looked at being a lawyer as their second career. So there's a lot of older generation people, but I don't think so. I think that's a very good observation.
Yeah, my thought was, wow, this is this is where I might cry of I don't know, it's just really cool to see all of these all of these women in the room advancing their career. Because again, most of us were 30s and above, have a few younger ones, younger than that, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And the children seeing this new wave of access to justice. I don't know. It's just very, very cool to see that.
Yeah. And it's cool to be a part of that too,
Yeah.
And I do appreciate you saying that because, as a working mom, I do want to show my daughter that it's out there, right? And you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, I got your back. I'm gonna cry.
Sorry, this is what I do to people.
But yeah, no, and that's, I think I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I think that's, just showing other young girls, young children you can reach for the sky, really.
Yeah.
And with the right mentorhood with the right people in your life, right? And that's hard to find sometimes. And I'm glad we're out there doing those things for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
Likewise.
All right. I think that covers our episode for today.
I think so.
that is
Yeah. I
it.
think
So it should be
Yeah.
it should be airing March 31st. We'll get that up, and our next one will be April 30th. So we'll see you then. And thanks for
Yes,
being
and thanks to Susan for sharing her time with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course,
I love this kind of stuff.
course. Yes, we were so happy to have you here with us. So thank you all for joining us, and
thank you.
We'll see you next time.
And look for the bloopers. They're coming.
Oh yes, they're coming.
Thank you. Bye.